Meshoku, the Nen show is dead. It is the Nono show now. Hello and welcome to the first and probably only episode of the Nono Show podcast. I am your host, Craftsdwarf, and this is my co-host, Mathwiz.
I didn't know what to reference. I was going to reference something from the show, but I couldn't decide, and now I've referenced nothing. I'm a failure. Meshoku.
There's no pun. But we are talking about Hugto Precure, because we both finished it, and Mathwiz had some conflicting thoughts on the last episode, and I want to figure out what the fuck's up with that. But yeah, it was good. I say probably only, like, maybe if we do, like, the next Precure season, like, a year from now, Star Twinkle, when it's over, maybe we'll do another episode of the Nono Show podcast if
We've got our bi-weekly shonen thing, so now we've got our yearly magical girl shoujo Precure
yes
podcast. Yeah,
it was gonna be the Non show, but then I realized one of us suggested Nono because Nonohana is the main character. She's dumb and she's very good.
Hana is so good.
She's so good. Anyway, before we get into the discussion, I'm just going to point out how we're not going to go episode by episode like we might for the Nen show. Hey, Matthews, what did you think about episode 1? Okay, what did you think about episode 2? No, we're not doing that. Instead, we're going to talk about it without spoilers. So if you haven't seen it yet and are maybe been curious, we're just going to give our general thoughts. And then after a certain point, we're going to mention a spoiler warning, and we're going to go in on everything else.
Now, what do you consider a spoiler? Like, obviously specific stuff, but like, how general do you want this discussion
mostly,
to be?
Yeah, I'd say just like, well, you know, I usually talk about like for the Weeb Club, we usually just talk generally about the main characters. Though in this case, there are main cast members added later who I've decided not to mention yet, just because. I mean, I mentioned this a couple times before, but at least on other things, but because I compare it mentally to Super Sentai, because they're both like 50. I did a whole video on my side channel kind of comparing the two, because they even run in the same like Saturday morning or Sunday morning cartoon action block with Precure, Super Sentai, and Kamen Rider, because they're both like 50 episode, like iterative, like every year it's a new show. So they have, you know, their main cast, and then for 50 episodes, but then like what Super Sentai does is after like 18 to 20 episodes, it just introduces a new character. And he's part of the group now. But with Precure, they introduce the character earlier, and then they come into the group later. So at least in all the series, because this is your first Precure season, right?
Yes, yeah. Hugto is my first. I will go back to more eventually, but Hugto for now is the only one.
Because my first was actually Precure a la Mode, which was last year's Precure season. I liked it, and I guess I'm pretty sure we both picked up Hugto for the same reason, right? Or it was in part due to Pedantic's video?
No, yeah, I watched that video and it looked cool, so I picked it up, and it was cool.
Yeah, she was really into Homare's arc in the first few episodes, and it was good, definitely, and and then I kept up with it for the rest of the year. But, I mean, I also picked it up because of, I liked Precure a la Mode, like, because, okay, Hana is very good. Like, she's probably my second favorite character in the franchise, and that's only second because of Yukari in a la Mode. She was the purple one I did I talked about in my video, so on a la Mode. So anyway, but yeah, I've also watched Heartcatch Precure, which is funny because that's like the darling of the franchise. Like, everyone loves Heartcatch, and I totally get why. But at the same time, it's my least favorite. Like, they're all 9 out of 10. Every Precure season I have is fucking good. I just think it's funny that I'm like, well, Heartcatch was probably my least favorite one.
And then you like a la Mode, which was considered to be one of the weaker ones.
Yes, it like on MyAnimeList, it has like its rating is like in a 6, whereas like the top 3 Precure season, Hugto is actually the highest rated one right now. It's like it's not quite an 8 yet on MyAnimeList, but it's still like 7.9 something, which is really good. And I think, Heartcatch is probably under that, and then Go Princess Precure. So, but yeah, I kind of want to rewatch a la Mode because, like, maybe the reason I liked it so much is because it was my first Precure season, though I still do really like Yukari. I'm just wondering, like, how much because, like, it's an episodic show. Every episodic show is going to have some episodes that aren't as strong, you know, and that's probably, like, Hugto's biggest weakness is, like, there's just some episodes I wasn't into.
Yeah,
you know, like,
Hugto definitely has Like, it's really good when it wants to be, but then there are some episodes that are just kind of like, obviously, like an ongoing thing.
The Santa one was a recent one.
That one was good. The Christmas episode was good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but it wasn't great.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, it was clearly like a gimmicky holiday episode, which I guess to be expected.
Yeah,
there was like a Halloween
the one where they
that
took
was
like
good.
a plane trip around the world. That one was also fine, I guess. You know, like, that's the thing. There aren't any bad episodes, but, like, there's just a couple episodes where I'm just watching. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a Precure episode. I'm sure I'm watching Precure. Oh, cool. It's Precure. It's fine. It's fine.
For me, I felt like the weaker episodes, even though, like, they were, I guess, more thematically relevant, but for me, the weaker episodes were all they gotta fix that declining birth rate.
Yes, this show is secretly propaganda because they put in an adorable baby in episode 1, and it's like, man, I want an adorable baby. Better have some kids. Like,
the funny thing about that though is, like, I've heard that the mascot characters in Precure tend to not be very good. Like, some of them are just kind of blobs that exist to, I guess, convey the power or whatever. But Hugton is good. Like, she's an actual character.
She's
who
probably
develops a bit, even though she's a baby.
I would say she's probably my favorite of the mascot characters. Though I also like Potpourri from Heartcatch Precure, mostly because he's fucking adorable. Like, holy shit.
I was gonna say, I have nothing to make this comparison off of. I'm just kind of regurgitating what I've heard.
But Peko in a la mode was kind of but yeah, no, that's that. Well, because that's the interesting thing I like about watching all these series, because they're really similar in that they're all like they quote unquote have to have the same stuff. Like, they have to have a mentor character, you know, Hari. And then the mascot like Hugton, and then they have their group of, you know, 4 is the smallest team I've seen, but I know Futariwa Precure it's only 2, the Cure Black and Cure White. Oh yeah, that's actually the funny thing about Hugto, because I guess this is a minor spoiler, though not really if you've seen like any of the advertising, because they had the crossover episodes. They had one earlier that was where Cure Black and White came in, and then they had one later where every Precure came in. It was like a 2-parter, and in that way, like Hugto Precure is honestly like probably the 3rd worst series to start with because of all the anniversary things. Like, the only ones who I could think of would be worse would be the second seasons to Futariwa and Yes Precure 5. Because why would you start with season 2? So I
guess that would kind of like. In a way, as someone who, like, this was my first Precure, so I didn't really get much out of those episodes, so I guess that would also kind of fall into some of these episodic plots are going to be kind of meh, because, like, I don't know who all these Precure are. Like, I can know what series they're referencing, but I don't know their arcs or whatnot, so I'm not getting the full experience there.
Like, because like, my reaction to those episodes was like, because at the time those episodes aired, I hadn't even seen Heartcatch yet. I'd only seen a la mode. Because the first episode of those crossovers started with the a la mode characters being slightly older, which was really silly when you think about it, because like, those characters were older. The Maho Tsukai characters also got de-aged a bit, but every other Precure character was the same age as they were when their show went. So somehow only like the 2 most recent series characters aged any, and I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Shouldn't the Futariwa characters be like 15 years older?
Yeah, that ties into something I'll have to say later, but I can't because spoiler. But
okay, gotcha. But yeah, so my reaction to the anniversary stuff was like there was some cool shit. Like, I remember there was like Sakuga was fucking great in that second episode, especially like when all the Precures the pink ones were fighting, especially.
Yeah.
Like, it just looked really cool. And like, there was one moment where one like Precure did like a Green Lantern ghost giant punch thing, and I was like, that's fucking cool. So little stuff like that was neat. But again, I didn't know the characters, except the a la modes. And so, yeah, when that episode started, I freaked out because I like those characters. You know, Yukari is one, she's great in particular. And so it's like, whenever the a la modes or the Hugtos were doing anything, I was like, yeah. And whenever any of the other ones were doing anything, I was like, okay, sure. Who are you people? So, yeah, I feel like at least those episodes would be more enjoyable if you have watched the whole series, because it'd just be fucking pure fan service to someone
if you had watched the whole series, you'd probably be having like nostalgia flashbacks. You'd be like, oh my god, it's the Futariwa girls, or it's these
the smiles, the sweets, everyone. So it would be super hype. like even if you don't have that, again, like, you know, it's fun. This like lots of cool animation and stuff. They were fun episodes, even only knowing like two of the groups for personally. So yeah. Okay. I'm trying to think of any other general things to say, or did I cut you off at some point? Probably I did that.
I don't think so. But like, yeah, as I kind of said earlier, like some of the episodes are really, really good. So like, even if you're not interested in like checking out the whole series, if you don't think you're gonna get into it, I made up a little like episode list.
Oh, okay.
Not that I'm gonna like say only watch these episodes, but like probably the ones I enjoyed the most. So like, you know, if you don't think you're gonna get into it, but you might be willing to give like an episode a shot. Actually, if you're gonna give an episode a shot, I'd probably just say do episode 1 because the introduction's good.
Yeah.
But there are like good episodes that I feel like some people could probably get. Like the Precure formula is not perfect, I wouldn't say.
Okay.
Because like there is the episodic nature of it, and obviously there's a bit of, which I guess is more of like just an anime thing, but there's like product placement, like, oh, this someone a friend had pointed out to me because they're going through Hugto recently, and something I hadn't noticed because I'm dense, but when there was the one moment where they kind of introduced like a new weapon thing, and they saw it as like, oh, this is clearly just a way to advertise a toy for kids, and it ruins the moment, which I disagree with, but like there is that level of like marketing involved.
Well, cause again, I've watched like, now this is my third Precure season I've finished, and I've also watched several seasons of Super Sentai. Cause yeah, it's the whole block that is basically like sell children toys. Cause Kamen Rider is also part of that block, and they have the belts. Super Sentai has Transformers and weapons and mechs, and Precure has the Transformers, and then they have their that's the thing. It is meant to sell toys. So the question becomes like, can they use that device, you know, in a like meaningful way in the story? And usually I think it works. Like there's usually like a big character moment for the team. Like they get, when they start working together better, they get the you know, they get their, what's it called, their big transforming attack thing. And then because they're like they're probably mandated to use like every episode has a transformation sequence, and every episode has like some kind of cool attack finisher with one of the, like the early episodes had the baton, and later have the memory clock, you know. So it's like because some episodes they'll do it like at the start of the episode, and then so that later on in the episode they don't have to like get in the way of the like like if they do that shit in the start of the episode, you know, some serious plot shit's gonna happen later, because they didn't want to get they didn't want the transformations or the super attacks to sort of get in the way, like, of what they were. So, but yeah, because I feel like that
kind of ties into the like when I say that the Precure formula is not perfect, because like in certain episodes I did feel like the need to have a fight like the usual episodic transformation battle sequence. Yeah, it didn't always work. It wasn't always connected to like the plot of the episode. It was just kind of like tossed in there. Which I guess you're gonna maybe have when you're doing an episodic series that runs to be like 48, 50 episodes. But just a thing to note. Yeah. If you're new to Precure.
Because that's kind of what I like try to look for, is like that, you know, because there is something to say about like complete creative freedom, but it's also interesting to see how things come about under creative limitations. Like my favorite example is actually Batman Beyond, because the DC Animated Universe guys were asked, okay, we want Batman in high school. And but that would never work with their current continuity. So they set it in the future with a completely new character, and it was it worked. It was perfect, and it was great. Batman Beyond's a great show. So like with to go back to Precure, like how well, like one good example was in episode 15, where the episode was focused on two non-Precure characters. That was the hilarious one.
Yes, episode 15 was so good, and even though it had like really limited animation, they made that work, and like it was the funniest episode in the series, one of the funniest episodes. Oh my god, of the year.
It was fun. And then it ended on a really heart like the two characters getting closer.
Yeah,
it was really good.
And it's
but
just
I also
like
that
two
episode,
sliding images on the screen, like they're just like sliding closer and further away from each other, and it's so good because it's like that limited animation that just really sells it.
It's just so good. But yeah, like what I was gonna say, because that episode also had the obligatory transformation sequence and fight and stuff, but it was like kind of in the background, like, but it still affected like the two characters during the climax, and I thought that was like a neat way to like it to incorporate the mandated like stuff that they have to have every episode, but also like they made it tied to the actual like arc that had been going on, because that whole episode it's cutting to the main trio for jokes, but it's mostly focused on these other two characters.
Yeah.
So including like one of my favorite jokes from the series where Hagtan, she says Homare and Saya's name, and then Hana's trying to get her to say Hana, and she's just so stupid. And, like, she makes Hagtan cry, and it's so adorable, and I love it.
Yeah, there are also, like, there are some instances where it's, like, really thematically relevant. Like, I also love how in episode 4, it kind of, like, ties into the plot by being, like, the person who gets transformed into the Oshimaida, which is, like, the thing that, like, manifests all the evil feelings.
The Toge power, or sort of how I guess it's like anxiety towards the future, sort of.
Yes.
So like that, because that's the other thing about Precure is every season like literalizes its theme as some sort of like energy. But anyway, go on.
But yeah, like, so the person who gets transformed in that episode is like Homare's coach, which is obviously that ties into her conflict for that episode, because like he feels kind of like he has anxieties about like, oh, her future is kind of in jeopardy because she had this accident thing, and so he feels like he's kind of failed her, and that gets turned into the battle for the episode, and it's good.
Heartcatch Precure is also good about that, where they have the like, because the Oshimaida are also kind of like they're characters from the rest of the show, like they're sometimes able to work that into the conflict, and it's cool when it happens. That doesn't always happen, but it's cool when it does. So
yeah, I never really did get to my episode list, which is fine. I realized it was a bad idea. I'll probably just bring it up in the spoiler section to talk about my favorite episodes. But yeah, like I'd say it, like episode 4, like that was the one that, obviously the one that Pedantic Romantic made the video on, so that's what got me interested in the first place. But it explores like a good idea in that episode, and it executes it pretty well. And it's also just animated really gorgeously. So like,
yes,
if episode 1 doesn't even hook you, check out episode 4.
Yeah, like I would say, like a good the first 5 episodes like introduces the main cast. It gives the good arc to Homare. Episode 11 is another climax.
Yes.
If you're still on the fence after that. But like I enjoyed the whole show. Like well, I guess we'll get on that.
No, yeah, I enjoyed the whole show too. You had said like 9 out of 10 for you, so you rank it pretty highly. I gave the season an 8, which is to me like I gave Naruto an 8. So like it's pretty high up there. I'm gonna go back and rewatch it definitely.
Yeah, like for me, I'm gonna rewatch it,
but like it's up there. It's past my threshold.
Well, my plan is to rewatch.
I got a lot out of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's past your threshold of like just okay, is what you mean?
Yeah, it's past like what I don't know. For me, like anything that's like 7 or higher is, well, if it's like a 7, then it's like I might go back and rewatch it. I'm kind of on the fence. Like I enjoyed it, but I might not want to go back to it. But like an 8 is like, yeah, I'll definitely be revisiting this like years down the road.
Gotcha.
So Hugto, it passed my threshold of approval. It is good. I highly recommend it.
Yes. Like I said, probably the worst season to start on Precure, but it's still good. So it's like because again, it doesn't matter. It's like it really doesn't. Like some people say, do I have to watch the whole franchise first? And it's like all you're gonna miss out on is like a little bit of intertextuality with like the crossover episodes. Like they're still fine even if you don't have that. So, and you can't really skip them because they are important to the antagonist of those episodes. But still, though what I was gonna say is like my plan is I'm going to watch all of Precure and then rewatch Alamode and Hugto because I want to see how I feel about Alamode. You know, my first one, having seen the rest of it, and then Hugto, I want to get all that context for all the crossover shit. So that's my current plan. Though it's also a lot of series because that's 15 years of fucking Precure.
Yeah. This franchise started back in 2004. So it's been going on for quite a while, and it has, I'd imagine, evolved because I think the first series wasn't even the same formula as what it is now. Like things have changed, so that'll be interesting.
Because as I understand it, because the first 5 seasons are Futare wa Max Heart, Futare wa Splash Star, then Yes Precure 5 and Yes Precure 5 Go Go, and that's like when the series so those series are like kind of the series still finding its footing. I heard it's only after that one, I think it's Smile Precure, where it started to be what it is today, where it's like 50 episodes, you know, because like the thing with the having the show this way is like they know exactly when it's going to end, so they can build up the arc throughout the entire season, you know. So like it's like limited in that way. But like with Futariwa, they had no idea if it was going to be how long was it going to be. They didn't know until they ended it. So I don't know if that's, you know, how that actually translates into it. Maybe I'm wrong. I have not seen Futariwa yet. But yeah, I've heard that it doesn't find its footing at first. So I'm still gonna watch it all. Fuck it. Oh yeah, technically I just realized I have seen like the first couple episodes of Maho Sakai Precure, which is like disliked even more than a la mode, and I thought it was boring for the first 2 episodes. So I'm gonna go back and finish it because I like Precure now. But I don't have high expectations. But yeah, and yeah, if you're not sure about the crossover thing with Hugto, Heartcatch is probably the best one to start with, just because it's honestly the art style is completely different, and it makes for better animation, I think. So it's just especially like honestly like the first like 12 episodes were really fucking great. Like I still enjoyed the rest of the show, but just like they were all just so solid, it was great. But I think that's all of our general thoughts.
Pretty much. I've been itching to get into spoiler talk.
Yes. All right. So here is your spoiler warning. We are going to go all in at this point. So yeah, again, we've given our both of us strongly recommend it if you have not seen it yet. So, you hate the last episode, Mathis?
Are we just gonna jump right to the ending, or are we just gonna go to that?
That's what I've been here. That's what I'm here for. Like, no, that's. I mean, otherwise we just dodge around it the whole time. So we'll go back and discuss the rest. But this is where, like, I gotta know.
Okay. So if we're gonna talk about the final, like the final climax and everything, episode 48 was really good. Like, I love it. The first half.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Or so,
there was a lot of tears, but anyway, go on.
Yeah. The first half of.
From me. Okay.
Wait. Okay. Do you want to talk? Like we can talk more about 48 first, and then jump into 49.
No, I just say I cried a lot. We could talk about it. But,
oh no, yeah, definitely. Because like even though I have problems with the final episode of Hugto, like I was still crying throughout it. So like. Mixed feelings, very mixed feelings.
I'm just imagining that, like, it's a 7. This episode's not very good.
This episode's 7 out of 10. So yeah, episode 48 was really good, really solid. I loved it. The first half or so of 49 was good. Like, then they hit me with a complete.
With the going away.
Yeah, like the departure.
Oh, so you didn't like the time skip, is what you're saying?
Yeah, the time skip was a bit of a curveball, and like I get what they were like. I understand how it's thematically relevant, but there were a lot of like head scratching moments in the time skip. One of them being, I didn't need to see Hana giving birth. That didn't have to happen. There wasn't enough time for me to disassociate child Hana from the adult Hana. And you mentioned it earlier how like some of the Precures got like de-aged to show up in the crossovers. So I like. Thinking ahead of time, like I imagine when Hugto gets re-referenced and makes its cameos, they're not gonna be adults, they're gonna be kids, and so then I have to like think back to like remember that one time in the final episode when Hana gave birth and they were playing the OP over it in the background. Which I mean,
I
like,
to make a joke about that because it's like I love it when the OP plays in the final episode, but I've never seen it over a childbirth before.
Yeah, one of my mutuals on Twitter gave me like a response like that, and it was funny. But
oh, man.
Like in a way, like it's really memey like that happened, because just like the way you described it, like the OP playing over an anime character
like,
giving childbirth.
It was definitely weird, but it didn't hurt my enjoyment so much. Like, because I was just like so like everything else. Like I was just like, oh my god, like, oh look, the bad guys are kids. They're in a better future now. And then it was neat to see all the characters in the future. Like Saya, she did it. She's a doctor.
No, yeah, like I definitely understand why it happened the way that it did, because like it's a way to like put all the characters in like to neatly package them in one scenario. So like Saya being a doctor, like, oh, of course she'd be there, and Homare's by her side, and that's cool. But like as I
Emiru
said,
got
it was
big and Lulu is small.
I have problems with that too, which I'll get to once I'm done ranting about Hana.
Okay, see, I was wondering if it was just the baby thing.
No,
thing,
it's not just that.
Okay, gotcha.
See, this one is a bit more of a nitpick, but like the Lulu stuff, I potentially have bigger problems with.
Okay,
but with Hana, I
anyway,
found it uncomfortable because, like, as I said, there wasn't enough time for me to like disassociate the two. So to me, it's like this is a child. I mean, granted, it's a fictional character, so
she is basically acting this like the same personality wise. Like she does look old, slightly older. Like she has lipstick now, I guess, or something.
And I don't think the delivery for like her lines changed all that much either. So she's still like peppy little 13, 14-year-old Hana having a child. I don't know. Like it there just wasn't enough time. Like the time skip wasn't around long enough.
Yeah. No, I understand, but I personally didn't have a problem.
Like I do understand how it's thematically relevant too. Like as soon as it happened, like when I was thinking about it after the fact, I was like, really, I should have seen this coming because this was the Fix the Declining Birth Rate show. So like it makes sense that because like she was almost like an adopted mom sort of for Hugtan. Like Hugtan even called her mama, which was cute.
Well, that's the thing because like and Hugtan like called a lot of things mama. Like in in one of the early episodes, she like looked at a flower in a pot and was like mama, but she never stopped calling. Like she stopped with the other characters, but she never stopped with Hana. Even up to the last episode, she was still calling her mama. And so, it was like, oh, there it is. and there it is.
So, like, I understand.
Hagumi, when she named her daughter, I was like, oh, it's a pun. Nice. But anyway, you were saying?
That's what makes me feel so conflicted about it. Because, like, it's in character for her to, like, be at this point, and it makes sense with the themes of the show. I just don't know how I feel about the execution.
You, yeah.
Like, maybe she could have adopted or something. I don't know. But, like, it
well,
just
that's the other thing is,
weird.
like, the baby's blonde. There was an implied thing between, like, future Hana and George. I
love how the main antagonist name is George. Like, his name is just George.
Yeah. But so where'd the blonde come from, Hana? Explain. You got some explaining. See, that's the weird thing, because, like, one thing I adore about Precure is if you look at all the parents, like, even in other seasons, they're actually pretty good about the hair colors, whereas sometimes you watch an anime and it's, like, the parents are, like, background characters who have generic hair colors, and then main characters, like, fucking rainbow spikes and shit, and it's, like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, so I always adore how Precure is, like, they actually give the parents, like, similar, at least, like, never quite as bright, but they still at least have, it's, like, it's pink, or it's purple, it's, you know, some kind of, it's, like, darker, but it's still, like, the same color as their kid, you know? So I like that. But, so who's the father, Hana? No, I don't care. I don't really care. I just thought it was funny.
No, but yeah, I do like the character details like that. Like, even Hana's sister looks similar enough to Hana with, like, hair color and whatnot. So, yeah, that is a good point you bring up.
Yes. But yeah, so I personally didn't mind it. I don't know. I'm generally like accepting of just weird shit. Like I just kind of let it go, let it flow over me. So like it's pretty rare when something gets so weird. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I've been reading Osamu Tezuka's Phoenix. And Tezuka's meta humor is really fucking weird. Like, there was one scene where a bunch of wolves were running down a hill, and then he just randomly started drawing them in other styles, like Kabuki style, Disney style, Broadway style. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, Tezuka? What is the point of this joke? Like, it was a serious scene before, and then it goes back to serious once he ends it, and I'm like, why? What the fuck was that? Like, that shit was weird. So, I don't know. I'm weird too, I guess. But,
Yeah, and like I said, like I was crying during the final episode too, so I'm sitting here like, what the fuck is going on? But I'm sad or happy or whatever.
I don't know. We have conflicted feelings. Oh man. So, your bigger problem with the episode was Lulu apparently, because so go into that.
So yeah, the other thing. Now, I guess this comes down to how much you read into it, how much you read into the queer coding in this series, because there's obviously there's obviously I don't know how to pronounce this character's name, because like the subtitles translate it as Henry, but I've always it's always pronounced kind of like Henri, so that's what I've been going with.
Or maybe mix them Henri. Yes.
Henri.
Anyway.
Yeah, but anyway, I'll know who
you're talking about.
Like they can easily be read as like a. I don't know, like it's a mixed reading, because like you could read it from the boys can't be Precure, so Are they transgender? Are they non-binary? Are they gender fluid? There's that character arc, which I'll talk more on later. But with regards to Lulu and Emiru, I think it was pretty obvious to me that like they were being coded as like not just like, obviously they used Tomodachi, but you know, they seemed like they were more than just friends. It seemed like there was they were being written to be like lovers, because like they're the precure of love.
Well, like, even before, like, obviously there was a smaller age gap, but like Lulu is in high school and Emiru is in elementary school, or was she like an early?
I thought she was a middle schooler.
Okay, so still a pretty fair difference, but like, especially at that age. But I don't know. See, okay, here's because Alamode also had a quote unquote romantic thing between Purple and Red. Like, what is with that?
Interesting.
I don't know that. Yeah, but it didn't explicitly go anywhere either. And I don't know, like like on one hand, like it's a kids show, so I'm not like I don't know.
Yeah, I do understand that it's a kids show. So there's only so much, like, not even for like a het romance. I don't think that they would actually like explicitly go into it. But
well, like, because this has also come up with Hibike Euphonium and what bitches about it, the fan base of Love Live too, because like in Love Live all the characters say they love each other all the time, and some people take that literally, but only for like the instances of the ships they care about. So what's response is like, so what, they're all in relationships with each other, it's just a fucking like harem of harems, like it doesn't. So I don't exactly know how like close girls are allowed to be with each other, like, and I don't know how like socially it's seen necessarily, like. So I'm just not gonna I just don't outright accept it as romantic, even if the two characters say they love each other, just because it's like,
I mean,
I remember with Hibike specifically, I remember hearing something of the effect of like I don't know, girls just experiment in high school, but they're expected to grow out of it or something like that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's something that like Bloom Into You explores in its story, that there's like a character who kind of has that arc of like, I guess that's what is like considered class S. Is like, oh, it's a phase, but then they grow out of it and whatever.
Yeah, because like contrasting this to like Western stuff, like there's you know, cartoons will have like a relationship that's basically a relationship even though they're kids, but they never admit it, and you know, so it's like, but with the Western side, you expect them to grow up and get into a relationship, but with the East, I have no fucking idea, because they never do, even though the shows actually end, they never really go that way. So. Like, I don't know, or not never, but I'm not talking explicitly about romance stuff, because romance stuff is obviously different, but like this is primarily an action show. So see, I thought you were worried about the time shit, because I mean, there's two.
Well, I mean, that's part of it though, is because with like the time skip, whether or not you want to read it as romantic or not, the time skip seems to make it almost like that's what made it so conflicting for me is. Like, you can make a case for whether or not, like, they were supposed to be written as, like, lovers. I mean, like, obviously they're kids, so there's a degree of, like, whatever with that.
I don't know.
But, like, just the way, it was more than just, like, oh, they said, you know, I love you. I felt like there was more to it. Like I said, they're both the precure of love. They've got, like, the matching heart guitars. There's a lot of just lines that would be like, oh, I want to be with you together forever, and whatever. Yeah. But then the time skip kind of like, I get it. Like, in a kid show, there's a bit of ambiguity there. I'm fine with that. So, like, I was fine with it never being explicitly confirmed as a relationship. And then, like, the time skip with there being now this big age gap because, you know, Lulu's memories were erased and she's basically a child. And I don't know, is Emiru gonna raise her? I don't know what the implication was there.
Ooh,
but it kind of does away with any potential reading that they're, you know, in love. So it kind of came off to me as like burying your gaze.
Yeah, I can understand that. Like, well, because it's like it's different. Like with Alamode, they just don't do anything yes or no with it. Like the characters just kind of go on and like that's it. They do their own thing, but it's that we don't see anything between them in like the last episode. But with this, it's a little they do kind of undo it in that way, I suppose. Like I was never particularly reading it as romantic in the first place. Just because I didn't really expect it to go anywhere.
I mean, like I didn't expect them to really do a whole lot with it. I just wasn't expecting them to potentially contradict it like they did. Because like when that happened, then I had to think, well, okay, now I gotta like recontextualize
This
their
whole-
whole relationship
yeah.
in the past, and that was a big, for me, that was,
Downer,
I guess it
maybe,
also
or-
could be because of like the spaces I hang out in. So, you know, I have another
Yeah.
friend, well, a couple of people who were watching this show, and we're big on that, I guess, that ship. And then, so yeah, I had to like recontextualize what was to me a decent appeal of the show. Like, obviously, them not being gay doesn't make me hate the show. I still love Precure.
Yeah.
Or Hugto.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the rest of the Precure franchise, so I'll
No,
be a little
you'll love it
careful.
all. Take it. No, I don't know. Go on.
But yeah, like, the queer coding wasn't like the sole selling point on the show for me, but it was like an aspect of it. And so that, me having to like recontextualize that and that potentially being erased, gave me conflicting feelings. But like I said, I was still like crying through it, so there was still like the element of like, you know,
You got some
good feelings
catharsis out
there.
of it, but it wasn't the exact catharsis you necessarily wanted from the show.
I swear, every time in the show that Emiru plays her song, that like they have a couple of songs, but like that one with just like the guitar strings and, you know, singing about, you know, these things I do for you, how much I love you, whatever. It's such a good song, and every time they play it, it's like, oh no, here come the tears.
Yeah. See. I'm actually glad that these are your concerns with the show, because I thought it was gonna be something like, because I've heard some concerns from elsewhere, and it's like like, because here's the other thing is that like there's going to be a crossover movie soon between, you know, A La Mode, Hugto, and the new one, Star Twinkle, because they've been doing this for the last couple of years, where they just do the 3 most recent series, and you know, smaller scale, they can focus on the individual characters more, instead of like, here's 50 Precure, here's 60 Precure, you know, as they do with the other anniversary movies. So like, we're going to see the Lulu from the show again. Like, this is a different, like, the way how this is a different Lulu, you know? So, like, that's kind of how there's a good future and a bad future. Like, that because that's the thing. Like, there was the episode where Emiru was sad about Lulu going away, but she wanted to go to the future to spread, you know, their music. She wanted to go to her future, because there was no music in her bad future. So, like, all the Cryosuit Corp guys, they went, and Hari and Hugton, like, they went back to the bad future to restart it and, you know, try and do better, you know, from then on out. So while the Hugto characters, they were still in their previous timeline, and they got to go to a good future, you know. So like, that's so, like, I guess some people, I don't know, because that's my thing, is like, there's gonna be crossovers, we're gonna see our Lulu again.
See, and that's another thing, like, the time skip makes it kind of weird, because like, they're not going to use the adult cure, or like, they're not going to use the adult version.
No, they're not going to skip to 2040 for all the future crossovers. No. See, and that is kind of weird, actually, in regards to the last episode. But I've also talked about how Japan doesn't have this, like, canon is kind of different. Like, I don't know if they're gonna like how much are they gonna like recognize what happened at the end of Hugto Precure? Because I don't think, like, in both the other series, the characters were just kind of around. Like, in A La Mode, they did split up. And, you know, like, even at the start of the crossover episode, they were back for a reunion. But in Hugto, but like in Heartcatch, they were still just, you know, at school and stuff at the end. And those are the only ones I've seen. So this one's definitely seems to be a different case. So I just wonder how much they're going to acknowledge it in the future, or for how long. Because in the future, they might just not even bother. Like, maybe they'll explain it as Lulu taking pit stops on the way to the future. The plot needs to be here. I'm getting off, and then okay, I'm back. Like, I don't know. What happens when it's actually 2040? Like, and there's more Precure going. I've always wondered about that, because, like, I haven't watched it yet, but, like, Gosei Sentai Dairanger like, ends with, like, a 50-year later epilogue, and the show aired in 1992, so, like, we're only, like 23 years off from the 50-year anniversary. So I'm wondering if something's gonna happen. But yeah, so but this one's even closer, or a bit. No, it's 21 years, so they're about the same time, actually. But yeah, so okay, final episode. Yeah, we've talked about that. Let's talk about the rest of the show. I just wanted to get into that because I've been curious for the last couple days.
This show is still really good. Like, even though I had my opinions about the final episode, it was still a really good experience for the first 48 and a half episodes where I had really no issues. Well, not
Yeah.
no issues, because like I said, the episode where they focused on just like not orphanages. I don't know why I was going to say that, but just like, you know, here's how you raise a baby, and here's why babies
Yes.
are cute, and how you take care of them. And
yeah.
that was a little boring for me personally at times.
Okay.
Although
Yeah,
I did like the
guess.
one episode with Dr. Traum when they have like the battle, and it's like, shh, be quiet, the babies are sleeping, and
he's
then
like, okay,
later
fine.
he comes back and he makes a quiet machine, but they're like, or a quiet Oshimida, but they're further away, so it doesn't even matter, and it's great. It's a good gag.
Yes, like, oh, I guess we could talk. The villains are in general are good. I'd say, like, honestly, as far as antagonists go, Hugto had the most, and I also thought they were all pretty good. Like, they all worked for the theme. They all had their individual reasons for wanting time to stop, basically, and it was neat. Though, Trom was in particular, like, he was also kind of interesting because he also, you know, he made a robot that goes into the future. So he was kind of like a contradiction there. Like, well, he did try to stop Lulu's growth, but he couldn't. He couldn't truly stop a learning robot, and he loved it as his daughter. Like, I also liked how they never outright stated it, but they heavily implied that he has his own dead daughter, and
yes,
Lulu
they did,
is sort of a
and
replacement.
that was like, whoa.
They did the Astro Boy thing, which you wouldn't know because you haven't read or Astro Boy, but that's his backstory is that his creator made him as a replacement son, but couldn't accept him because he was not his son. So it's a trope.
This is what also like the fact that like it being a kid show and there are certain things that like they would only imply and never outright state. That's also part of what made it easier for me to like buy into the Lulu Emiru thing.
Gotcha.
Because it's like, oh, okay, I think I see what they're going for here, but they can't outright state it because, you know, kids show and there's certain things that they won't do.
Yeah.
There were other things.
You might like All the
like-
Mode better because it kind of does it, but also doesn't undo it in the end. It just doesn't go anywhere with it. So I don't know, maybe. So you were gonna say something before I interrupted you again?
I feel like I had another example, but now I don't remember what it was.
I'm sorry, it was my fault. I did it. I do that.
I guess to also just wrap up my the SJWs are invading Precure. But there's
Henry,
there's Henry, whatever. I'll probably flip back and forth.
Cure Infini.
Yes, that is.
Yeah.
There's some sort of like that. That's not even a case where like, oh, this can be disproven with this, and this, whatever. Like, there's clearly some sort of gender non-conforming message being conveyed here. Because like in earlier episodes, there's like Hana's like, oh, boys can be princesses too, and a boy becomes a Precure for the first time in franchise history. So like
which is also apparently one of the first, if not only, or at least one of the only male magical girls who's not like for a comedy thing, like in
it's not a comedy thing either. Like, he's his own character. He has his own arc, which could have been fleshed out more, but you know, he was a side character at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like I liked. Well, I also liked how that episode he swapped out Bishin in the opening with the angry eyes. Just for that one episode, that was good.
Yes.
Because and then I thought it was satisfying though. I guess as far like because I don't think it's outright stated that he's transgender, but he's definitely at least more feminine. So I thought it was fine. I didn't mind it personally, but again, I can see someone wanting more, so to speak. But again, like, how far can they go in a kids show?
It's not that I wanted more. I did actually. I mean, like, I liked how they handled it. I just feel like because there's also because like another reason why I was leaning more towards the gay reading for the girls was because there's kind of there's some subtext with the guys here with Henri and the other guy Emiru's brother.
That's his name now, Emiru's brother.
Because like there's like the one shot where Henri like winks to the crowd or whatever as he's skating, and you have like the crowd of girls who are like freaking out, but he also like is taken aback. So I feel like there was subtext there. Right. So like, I don't know, this just felt like I don't know how to put it, but yeah, like, I don't know, this was a good Precure series.
You just made me wonder about like the production, like maybe the staff wanted to do more with it, but the higher ups were like, no, we can't, sorry, or something like that. Like, there's always a story. So you just made me wonder what the story is. But yeah, I thought his arc was good. Speaking of good arcs,
Hugto is. Oh, sorry. Now I'm cutting you off, but a quick thing I wanted to say was that Hugto is generally really good with like it's like side cast, because you've got like a bunch of characters who don't make too many appearances, but they're more than just background characters. Like they'll have episodic conflicts now and then. Like there's the two other girls who have
in last like an episode they became comedians. Yeah, and they became comedians in the last the flash forward epilogue. They were on the TV.
Yes.
But yeah, they had the one.
There was the Cure L fan club. That right. Was cool.
I forgot about that. Yes. And Hana being so like she like she I don't know she we haven't even talked about Hana yet really because she's very good. She had a good arc. Well, though it's also I'm wondering how common this is because the main character in Heartcatch Precure also had like a love myself arc. Because she didn't like her old self and wanted to change. Well, like, I love Hana's, and like, I love how, like, in the first episode, she cuts her hair, and she's like, oh no, these stupid bangs. And then last episode, she cuts her bangs all stupid.
Introductory scene. Like, that immediately, like, hooked me on the show, because she is, like, a character archetype that is, like, perfect for me. Like, I love Genki girls. Like, yes. I love that, because I want to have that spirit of like being upbeat and like wanting to cheer on my friends and stuff and be there to support them. And so like seeing her try to be like all cool and mature and then just like completely fuck up her haircut and then she's like, oh no, I'm a mess, I'm a disaster. But she's good. She was honestly, Hana was one of my favorite characters of 2018. Like her arc was good. She's very good.
Yes.
I have so many screen caps with like funny faces she makes.
Yes. She's a funny face machine. Meshoku. And as I was trying to finish my thought, like I love how it comes around in the last episode where she cuts her bangs all stupid and she's like, yeah, perfect. And I'm like, I love you, you dumb child.
No, all the callbacks in the final episode. Like there was the callback to the first scene and it was great. There was like the callback to when she first met up with Saya and Homare on the roof. And just the way that they like turned to look at her. There was the callback to like Emiru playing her guitar just with the exact same pose. Oh my god, there were so many callbacks and I was losing my shit.
Yes. And like in general, like in that the first half, I also liked how like the going away was really sad, and of course I cried. And it was also perfect because it's like they had every reason to want to stay. Like that was addressed with especially the Lulu Emiru episode before, where it's like they had every reason to want time to stop so that they could be there longer with their friends who were going away in Hugton, but they had to, and it was still really sad, and it was good.
Yes.
Oh man. Like, oh my god, Hugton not understanding what was going on because she's just a baby and being sad, and I was like, no, you can't do this to me, you motherfuckers. It's really good. Oh yeah, so back to the antagonists. Like one is like I liked how towards one of the last episodes Charlotte was like, oh yeah, Hana, you helped me, and he was just being really like he was helping her out and during her and this former antagonist, and that was good. I also like George. He was pretty good. Like, I like how towards the end he was like, what, you think I'm a bad guy? And then he explained his side of the story. And he's basically just a giant nostalgia fag. Like, he's like, oh yeah, this nostalgia. He's like, oh, things were better before, but they're shit now. So, but that also tied into like his actions because like he specifically went to the time period where Hana was young and good and alive. I don't know what happened in the future. But like he obviously like liked her, or maybe they had something going on. But yeah, so he wanted to freeze time period at that point. But Hana was too good. She was too good, and I
like that went back when she was good and young and alive.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. And when she hugs him from behind at the end, that got me. Oh, and of course, everyone becoming Precure was great.
Yes, Dad Cure. Dad Cure was so good.
Traum Cure.
And then there's the other shot where, well, no, not even Dr. Traum, but Hana's dad, like yes. Hugman.
Hugman.
God, this show has so many good characters.
His dad is so fucking huge. Her dad is so fucking huge. Like, goddamn.
He's like, huge, but he's such a good, like,
yes, he's very.
Yes, and then there's the shot where I don't remember the name of Emiru's brother, but like the shot where he picks up Cure Henry and they like and then he grows wings and they fly off together. Yes! Oh my god. There are so many good moments. It's like that final episode was or not the final episode, but episode 48
the second
was
to
like,
last.
a lot of like, wow.
It was amazing, yeah.
Everyone
like,
becomes
honestly,
Precure, and it's great.
Probably because I didn't mind the last episode as much, but like honestly, like Hugto is definitely my favorite ending of a Precure series, and this is coming from someone who made a video on a la mode's ending because I just thought it was interesting. Like it didn't get to me emotionally so much. Like, and of course there's the hype factor of like the Earth got destroyed and they remade it as a cake. they baked a new Earth. Like. How do you power scale that?
No, but that because isn't the like the running thing with a la mode that it's like a baking type?
Yes, Let's La Cooking.
Series,
yes, like all the characters they're based
so cool,
on like
though.
some kind of they're like animals plus food. Like the main character, she's like a strawberry shortcake that's shaped like a bunny, so she looks like a bunny, but she's also got a strawberry shortcake thing going on. And then there's like one character's like pudding, another's Kir gelato is ice cream, chocolate. Macarons, like, yeah, they all got a food thing, but they all got an animal thing. So yeah, at the end of the series, they bake the planet again after it gets destroyed. It was amazing.
Yes, that's cool.
Yes,
that's also what I kind of like about Hugto is because like in a similar way, like the themes being presented also tie into like the construction of the plot or whatever. So like at the end, like, you know, obviously it's a series about like, you know, the future, so it like makes sense that Hana having a child, like, you know, passing on to the next generation or whatever,
right.
And but also there's the running theme of like, you know, you can do anything, you can be anything.
Like I remember the Halloween episode, they're like dressing up Hugton in a bunch of things because, you know, a child is something with infinite potential, you know. So
yes,
a baby,
and that's what also makes like the fact that a boy becomes Precure, that's what also makes it super cool, is because, like, again, it adds to the you can do anything, you can be anything. It, you know, it doesn't matter what gender you are, what opportunities you're given from your life, whether you're an android or a human or whatever.
Yeah. Speaking of character arcs, I liked how I liked how like all the characters kind of like had different, you know, takes on the theme. Like, well, Homare is kind of like, I won't say it like it kind of petered out a bit in regards to like because it mostly focused on Hari, which was still good, but it was just like I wasn't as invested in her arc specifically, I guess. But I did like how Saya's turned out, because like I remember in the early episode there was her rival, the one other actor girl, Ronze. I have her name written down, so I happen to have.
See, that was smart. I should have written down character names, but I didn't do that.
I don't know. Maybe I have the brother written down. But so what I really liked, what I thought was interesting about that episode, because I remember writing it down, was the idea because Saya was not as invested in acting as this other character, and I was like, I wonder if maybe Saya's gonna not be into acting, but she continued acting in that episode and afterwards. So I'm like, oh, okay, sure. But then her arc ended up like my little like prediction was kind of right, because she, you know, acting wasn't her passion. She had this dream that she wanted to accomplish, and she did, and then she moved on to the real passion she discovered. Because like just because you like, you know, set out to do something, especially if it's, you know, your parents pushing you, it doesn't mean it's what you want. So sometimes you'll find what you want to do after the fact. That it's so I didn't connect her like being really into babies, like with the daycare episode where she was competing with Lulu. That was cute. And then the I think there was the one where the dad was giving birth, like the teacher or his wife was or something, and then, you know, Saya was like and they connected that to her other character arc with the acting, and I thought it was really neat how it played out in exactly the way I accidentally predicted like fucking a year ago almost. So yeah, that was neat.
I did like how that concluded too, because like you said, she had this goal of like she wanted to act alongside her mother, and so like just because she had a different interest didn't mean that she had to like stop pursuing that goal. Like she was able to finish that and then move on to something else. I do like how Hugto presents some, you know, it's weird throwing out the word nuance because what does that mean? But like this was what made episode 4 really cool with like Homare's arc, because like, yes, a children's show will have, you know, like a moment like, oh, we need to get across that this character is defeated and sad. But like when Homare goes to like jump for her crystal to become Precure, and she like misses the jump, and so like she really has to work for that. And just like the way it presents how like Hana cheering her on isn't always a good thing. Like sometimes you have to like let people deal with things on their own. Like telling them to do better
yeah.
makes them feel worse because they're already trying their best. And it's like,
it was good.
When I say nuance, like it's more than just like, oh, you can cheer on anything and it will get better.
Right.
Like,
I get exactly. It's like it's not quite like because that's the thing because we've talked about like the big three so far, and it's like these stories are more than just like if you do idea A, it has result B. It's more like if you do idea A but don't into account C, D will happen instead of B. So, but you have to once you account for it's and that is what I'd say. Yeah, I agree. Is more nuanced. Like it's not just like 1-to-1. Like a good example is Naruto. Friendship isn't the only path to power. Like Sasuke, it's more about like keeping true to your ideals. That's why Sasuke is able to get strength where by cutting off his bonds. So like that's just an example because especially Shonen is all about that friendship. But Naruto
you heard
takes
it here,
a different
folks.
route with it.
Precure is Shonen.
Yes, it's Shonen as fuck. I don't know, maybe. I mean, it's all action, so it's cool in that way. But it's just cute girls kicking ass, so why not? So yeah, I like Hana's definitely the best. Lulu and Emiru are good. Saya's good. Homare is good. Haru, like all the characters are good.
I did also like how another thing that I was kind of surprised to see, because like Homare's arc starts off being like her trying to overcome her trauma with skating, but then once she does that, it moves into her love for Harry or Hari.
Right,
I don't know how I want to pronounce it.
And her.
And I thought that was interesting that like a kid's show was focusing on like this age gap romance, because like that is I like personally there's a bit of an investment in this for me because I had a friend who had this relationship with an older guy, so like it made me think of her, and so like I know that some people are in these positions where like for whatever reason they like develop these connections with people, which it's kind of like a societal taboo, like age gap relationships. Those are weird. It's off-putting for some people, but like there are reasons that those things happen sometimes, and so I thought it was cool that a kids show like Hokuto Precure was discussing that subject at all. What could be considered like a taboo thing to like present to kids.
Yeah.
That like, oh, we don't want
and actually
explore
it, right?
Yeah, and the arc wasn't the most, I guess, super interesting thing in the world, but I don't know. There was a bit of like that personal pathos.
Yeah, you had
for
a
me.
connection to it, so yeah, I wasn't as invested into it, but you had a personal thing going on, so that's neat.
And I do like how Hokuto. Well, I guess this is more of just now I'm getting into more like cinematography and shot and color design and whatever. But Hokuto, like I said, when it wants to be really good and look really good, it looks damn visually interesting. Like I loved episode. Hang on, let me consult my chart here. Episode 32, which was the one where they did like a Little Mermaid kind of parody thing. And I loved all the like the animation like wasn't super animated, but like the designs and like the use of color was really cool. There's like a shot where they're in like this castle thing and the background is all like red and like some of the characters are kind of like washed out. And like Homare, when she like falls into the sea and everything's like dark and purple and blue and she's just kind of like at the bottom of this ocean of her feelings trying to like claw her way back out of it. And it's just a lot of good imagery. It looks great.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did have one comment on my Alamode video, which is like the color palette of the franchise looks like like unicorn vomit to me, and I'm like, well, I like that, but I understand. So it's like, because every other Precure season is super fucking bright and colorful too.
Like the average color palette for Precure, like it's nothing special, like on average. It's just anime style, but all candy colored, whatever have you, bright, colorful, vibrant, friendly. But like, I don't know, there were episodes that looked really cool, whether they were well animated or not. Like again, episode 15, the most hilarious episode of the season. There's just this one shot where Emiru is playing her guitar and Lulu's just listening, but like the background fades out and it's just this like black with like all these colored lights shining around them, and they're both like highlighted, and it's just like shows like how Emiru's music like shuts out the rest of the world and Lulu is able to just focus on her and the song, and they're like the only two things in the world at that moment, and it's like so vibrant and it's really good.
No, yeah, lots of like the directors know what they're doing with, and I also like to compare it to Hurt Catch, was also really, because the designs are more simpler, like they're less detailed, so they're just able to do more with them animation wise, like because there were some episodes that again were not animated, but they still had so many like expressions and goofiness. So it's like, yeah, I'm curious. I do want to watch more of the franchise because I've enjoyed, except for Mahou I've enjoyed every season I've watched finished so far a lot.
Yeah, Mahou just as like a premise sounds sort of uninteresting, because it's like, oh, what are they? They're magical girls. Okay.
No. It's Western magic, because see, in the second episode they go to the magical school. They take a train and there's like a snack pushing cart, and I'm like, I'm just watching Harry Potter.
So it's Precure meets Harry Potter. I could just watch Little Witch Academia.
yeah, that would be smarter. Maybe, I don't know. Like I said, I'm gonna finish Mahou Sakai eventually. I just have lower expectations towards it because I've already given it a shot. But yeah.
I'm sure people in the comments are going to be like freaking out, like, wow, MathWiz is talking a lot. This episode, it's MathWiz interrupting Craft Store for bunch.
It kind of is. I mean, I don't mind because I deserve it. But yeah, because you're super into it. It's funny, I give it a higher score, but you're even more into it than I am. So, that's weird. Oh man, but
I don't know. The things I'm passionate about with this series, I'm just really, really passionate about. It's just that I have, I guess, I don't know, more drawbacks potentially to it. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, well, because, like, the last episode, like you said, it changes, like, one aspect of the show you'd been enjoying for most of it. So, and that could be, you know, conflicting. I get it. Like, for me, it didn't change much, and I'd enjoyed the whole show, so I was able to give it a higher rating in that way. So, and I also just like that theme, like, of just, you know, looking forward and stuff, like, because I remember, you know, someone was asked like, oh, do you wish there was a better response to your Super Eye Patch Wolf video? And I'm like, well, I can't really change the response to that video, so I'll just do better in the future. Like, that's kind of just how I try to operate, you know, just like, well, I fucked up, okay, I'll do better, you know, move forward, you know, that kind of thing.
I agree with that sentiment. And that's why this show resonates so strongly with me as well.
Yes, like, you know, I like that. Like, you know, the fear that, like, because, yeah, it's easy to be anxious for the future. And it's an understandable feeling, but I personally try to push past that, you know, even when I'm, like, lying in bed and thinking, oh, man, the shadow of death is scary and I hate it. Like, that's probably my biggest fear is, like, imagine, like, I just sit there and just imagine what it's like to be dead, just that nothingness, and I'm like, oh god, kill me. No, wait, don't, please, no, the opposite. So yeah, that's so yeah, but I you know, don't think about it. I don't know, that got dark.
No, yeah, I get you.
Let's talk about cute girls.
What I also think, though, while we're on this topic of darkness, I do like how Hana in episodes like 10 and 11, she has her own little arc of like needing to love herself, and that's mainly like the big moment for her, but like it does kind of carry over a bit later into the series. I was gonna say the season, but it's only one season. But
because like early in the show, she sort of like she like gets over it because she has friends, but she still has to get like she gets the hooray everyone down, but later on she needs to kind of get the hooray me all the way down. So yeah.
Yes. And it is cool, I think, to have this character who is so upbeat and bubbly, but you know, even despite that, like, it's so easy to write a character like that who is just happy all the time, and that's who they are. That's their personality. But like with her being the main character, and because she wants to support all these people, I do think it is important for what the series was trying to kind of convey, that she have her own sort of struggle. I mean, the episode where she's like, I'm such a failure and I can't do anything right, and the conversation with her mother. It was so good. Hana's so good.
I'm curious because so for me, I start like, I'm gonna check real quick. When did I pick up the show? Because I think I watched because I like I said, I watched a la mode, and then I saw Pedantic's video, and I wanted to watch more of the I picked up the show. I'm just curious, like, when did you start it, and when did you like watch? Because you watched most of it more recently, I think, right?
Yes, I started it basically immediately after Pedantic's video and watched the first 4 episodes that were available at the time. Then I think over the course of like the winter spring-ish season, I finished the first core, and then I basically had it on hold up until like December, and then I went from I think I might have started at 14 or 15, and then I just kind of blitzed through the rest of the series.
Okay,
between
see,
like
looking
December
at me,
and January.
I would have caught up. See, I was almost like, it's like for me, I caught up to the first like core at plus after it was. So I watched like a bit farther than you when you'd put it down, and then I'd been watching it weekly ever since. So my memory isn't quite as good for the older stuff, because for me it was like for you it was like maybe 2 months ago. For me it was like when it first aired. So because I was watching it weekly for most of it.
My memory is pretty hazy on the first core, other than like some episodes that I went back to like look at again, just because I knew we were going to do this video. But so like I don't really remember anything. Like I remember episode 10, 11, 4, and 1. I don't remember any others in that like 12 episode span. Like I don't like. I remember notes, what happens. Like Saya becomes a Precure, Homare becomes a Precure, Emiru gets introduced, but like I don't. It's not like everything else where like I only watched it just like 2 months ago, so it's kind of fresh in my mind.
I gotta say, because I did really like Emiru, but like her first episodes, like with her whole caution thing, was really cute and adorable and funny, especially in episode 15 where she was like trying to be a Precure, and so it's kind of a shame that goes away after a bit, like just because it was really cute and fun. Like there was one later episode where she was like, might be awkward coming from me, but shouldn't you be a bit more relaxed about thinking like, or less because there was another character who did this kind of same thing as Emiru, and she kind of reacted to it, but I legitimately forgot about that trait because I've been watching weekly, so it'd been so long since I really saw it, so it's a little sad that trait went away, more or less, because it was really cute and fun.
Yeah, it might just be more that they kind of like supplement that with all the goofy faces and stuff that she does. But she does kind of, I guess, become a little more reserved in that regard.
Yeah, she calmed down, which is fine. I just miss it.
I do think you could maybe make a case that like, I mean, I would say the second core was like the best in the whole series. That's just how I felt about it. But you could maybe make a case that, like, I had kind of thought that maybe Emiru's arc of, like, trying to kind of, like, she was, in a way, like, sort of oppressed by, like, her brother and her family. Like, oh, you shouldn't play the guitar. You should play something more girly, more feminine or whatever.
More sophisticated or whatever.
But that kind of goes away pretty quickly. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's because it's, like, an older style of thinking. So maybe that's why they just kind of got rid of it. But then there's also, like, Lulu's journey from, like, going from a member of Cryosu to then becoming Precure, like maybe that could have been stretched out a little more. Like there could have been more development there, but it happened kind of quickly. So like I don't know, maybe like I do see potential that like this story probably could have been written a little differently to delve into the characters a little more before events happened. But again, like with it happening in like this 48 episode package, like they knew what they were working with. They decided to allocate things where they did. I don't know. Like, I thought it was good enough. It maybe could have been better, but I enjoyed it.
Like, but I do like the, I now that you mentioned those two and, like, that second core, I did like how their arc sort of climaxed with them becoming Precures, where it's like, there's just the one device and the two of them, and they get, like, a double transformation sequence, and they were only able to get that because, like, they were both willing to have the other person, they were both selfless, they were both pushing for the other person to be the Precure, and then they got sort of rewarded by the story for it, and it was like, hey, cool, they're cute, and then they were good.
A story like this, I'd imagine, would be interesting to watch weekly because, like, not knowing who the Cures are gonna be, because, like, by the time I watched like this arc where they became Cures, I knew that they would become Precure. And like before,
because I remember like Lulu, it was like once she moved into Hana's house, I was like, probability of Lulu becoming Precure 99%. But with Emiru, it was like we were both like once she started getting close, like even when she was like pretending to be like it wasn't until like she like found out and started getting close to that I was like, wait, is she gonna become Precure too? Because there's only one device. Shows up,
she just seems like a one-off character for the episode.
Exactly. But no, she's actually a fucking future Precure, and it's like, wait, hold on, because that's exactly what I was thinking. Because I did not think of it. Like her hair's not even that red. How can she be the red Precure? I don't know. I got because well, like, so it was actually really fun for me watching a la mode because the extra character got introduced, And I honestly had no idea that she became Precure for sure, because it'd been so long since I'd seen a show like this. And Precure does it differently than it does Super Sentai. So when it happened, it was really fucking hype, because like I didn't necessarily see it coming. So yeah. Though now you'll be expecting it, because this is that was my first show, and this won't be your first show. So yeah. Like I even told you about how it's structured usually with Precure, where they introduce him first. So
yeah,
very sad. But and you've technically seen them in the crossover episodes, even though you might not remember when you actually watch the show. Because that's the thing, it's like the way you talk about like the romance thing, I'm like, maybe you should watch All the Mode. And then you talk about like the how it uses both like really good animation and simple animation. I'm like, well, maybe you should watch Heart Catch Precure. And I'm like I feel like yeah, I want to watch more of the franchise, because like every single one I've watched, I've given a 9 out of 10. Like, because I just really liked it. Varying degrees of 9 out of 10, but I really liked every single one. So I'm like, well, what about all these other ones that I haven't seen yet? So yeah. I want to watch more of the franchise. So do we have any other final thoughts? Or
I think I've mostly said what I wanted to say. Like, I guess on the whole, Precure has... I did talk about the Precure formula. And, like, there are certain things that, like, I kind of like mentioned, but I did like, I don't know, when you get so like accustomed to a series and like how it does things, sometimes you just kind of like, you make concessions for that series and you just kind of don't really think much about it after the fact. So like with Precure, some of the things I mentioned, like hypotheticals, or, you know, like the product placement, like I watched the whole series through like the first time and didn't even consider it because I'm dense. But then like once it was brought up, I was like, oh, okay, I should probably mention that because maybe it would be a problem for some people.
Yeah, I think because it is a children's show. So
yeah. But so like there are certain concessions that I feel like you should be prepared for, but at the same time, like it was to the point where, like, I guess at one point had to make those concessions. Like, I probably skipped a lot of the transformation sequences and the attack sequences because it was all, like, not stock animation, but, like, it was all the same every time. Nothing really changed.
How dare you?
I think the vocal delivery changed a bit. Like, it almost made me wonder, did the voice actor for Hana record the opening bit, like, each time? Because it changes a bit, like the nuances in her delivery changes every now and then. And like when I went back to watch episode 1 and like see her first transformation sequence compared to like, you know, the last transformation sequence or whatever, the delivery was different. So I wondered,
really?
like, were there certain
occasions
I did not notice that they like re-recorded lines? Like, did they do it each episode and it just happened to be super similar? Or did they like record it once and then maybe like a few months later record it again and kind of like update it? I wasn't sure.
Well, because I've actually talked about transformation sequence on, I did a Weeb Club for Resha Sentai Tokyuger, which is a Super Sentai about imagination and fun and kids and trains. But anyway, because I watch the transformation sequences every time. And, well, one, because they're usually more well animated because, you know, they're gonna put more effort into it because you're gonna see it for the rest of the show.
I guess also for like context, I was kind of like binging it, so I wanted to get through it quicker. But like if I was watching it weekly, I probably would watch the transformation sequences every time.
That's fair because I hadn't seen it in a week, so of course I'm gonna watch it again. But like I guess what I also like about it is because it makes me think of Horikoshi has talked about like why he gave All Might his like his I am here phrase, and he connected that to Goku because like whenever Goku showed up, like everything was going to be okay because he was going to save the day, you know? And that's kind of what I feel about transformation sequences because the character's there, they're transforming, they're ready to fight, they're going to save the day. So I kind of like, I like that. I like transformation sequences because I'll watch them just because it's like, fuck yeah, they're transforming, shit's got real, you know? So that's just my personal, but yeah, you were binging, so that's fair.
No, yeah, because like I didn't hate the transformation sequences. It was just like watching it all so back to back like that. It got a little old, but like if I was watching it weekly, I'd probably be a little different. But yeah, what I was saying that I kind of trailed off into a tangent, but like something like that was kind of a concession that I made and I just didn't think about. So like when I look back on it, it's like, how do I recommend this to someone? Oh, well, maybe I should bring that up. Like, you know, there are certain things that you'll have to consider, but like for me, I considered those, and it eventually just became a point where, like, I didn't care about them. Like, the show was good enough that it didn't bother me. But, you know, someone just getting into it, maybe they would be bothered by that. So, fair warning.
Also, the OP and endings are good. I just wanted to throw that out there. Like,
yes.
They
the second ED.
I love
it's so good.
Yes, and also Toei's CG is not it's not like the best in the industry. Like I'd say like Love Live and like Land of Lustrous have better, but it's pretty good, considering like I haven't seen a full film of it because they do have CG films, but yeah, I'd say their CG is pretty good.
Toei did Kato the right answer, and that had like the interesting big cube thing, which like the CG
okay.
you could only make in CG, but I guess like the character animation was less great. But like I don't know, there are cool things you can do with CG, and I didn't have any problems with like
with Precure they do it more sparingly because Kato was all CG the whole show, or just the cube thing?
No, Kato wasn't entirely all CG. Like there were 2D cuts in there, which maybe also made it look a bit jankier. But I remember being okay with it. But like that was just an example of like another non-Precure Toei CG thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a couple years old now I think about it, but because Precure does it like sparingly, like just with it never does it in the show itself, at least that I've noticed. It's just like the certain movies and the ending themes, because even Heartcatch Precure has a CG an ending theme, except the show came out in 2011 and the CG is not that good.
Oh no.
So
although,
I was like,
speaking of EDs, it was really cool when they remixed the Futariwa Precure OP and used it as an ED for like the promotional stuff.
Yes, that was cool. Oh yeah, and they had different visuals too with all the Precures, and oh yeah, that was good. So yeah, next year, we're watching Star Toy. I don't know if we're actually gonna... I mean, if you watch it, like, because I'm going to watch it weekly, I don't know if I'll finish it weekly, because the first episode was fine. I don't remember how much I liked that first... Or were we done? I'm kind of in moving on mode here.
Yeah, I don't think I really had anything else to say that wouldn't just kind of get repetitive. Like, oh, this episode was also really good, and this episode was also really good. And look at all these adorable screen caps I have. Look at Emiru in her kaiju costume. It's so good.
Yes, they're all so good. Because I've seen the first episode of Star Twinkle. It was fine. Oh yeah, the main character showed up in the last episode of Hugto, which I don't know how long that's been a thing actually, because in the final episode of Heartcatch, the main character of the next show did not show up, but in the final episode of A La Mode, Hana and Hugtana are there.
Now I kind of want to just watch the last episode of A La Mode just to see Hana show up.
Watch the rest of it first, or else
I should probably do that first.
Know what's going on in the rest of it. Like, imagine seeing the first episode of Hugto just to see the main character and like getting like OP playing over childbirth and being like, what the fuck's going on? Like, could you imagine that? Like, without having the rest of the context of the show. Like, what are you doing, Mathis? A minor spoiler that I think is fun, because in the final episode of Hugto, well, because back in like when they were around that river, I think Emiru was thinking about kappas, right? Or someone someone was looking for a kappa. I'm pretty sure in the earlier episode of Hugto.
Yeah, and I was like, is that going to be a mascot for Star Twinkle?
No, it's the antagonist. The first antagonist was a kappa in the first episode.
Okay. Huh, that's cool.
That's what I wanted to reference, because I thought it was funny that she was looking for a kappa in the final episode of Hugto. That was also being mentioned in the older episode of Hugto, and then the first antagonist is a kappa in the first episode of Star Twinkle. I'm like, that's really weird. Okay, I'll take it.
So my guess was wrong in thinking that it would be the mascot, but I was correct in assuming it was related to Star Twinkle.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up, because I thought it was funny how it, like, there's actually some kind of weird continuity between the cameo in Hugto and her actual first appearance in Star Twinkle, because the A La Mode Hugto thing, there wasn't any of that. It's like she had unless there was like a cake box from the pastisserie that the A La Mode had in one of the first episodes. Or no, well, actually, it wouldn't have been for the first, because that's a weird thing. I don't actually think her cameo up here has continuity, because like she's able to become Kyriel, and she had Hugton. So it had to take place after 1, but I don't know when she would have had time to go take a fucking trip to some random fucking mountain.
Wonder, like, are they in the same universe? The Precure cinematic universe?
Precure cinematic universe. I mean, kinda. Like, we kind of see it. They all just live around, and they're all still Precure, apparently. So.
But they seem to be, like, teleported from other dimensions or whatever?
Sometimes, yeah. But then, like, when they froze the future, or when Tron froze the future at the end of the first crossover episode, we saw other characters from the franchise, and then they all came, because Precure, nothing stops the Precure, what was it? Precure never give up. So they kind of go through the time shit anyway, and they're fine. So yeah, see you next year for Star Twinkle, maybe. Because I know. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.